So the next one is, without citizen development, organizations will never meet the ever-growing demand for software. So this is a bold statement, but maybe we can elaborate a little bit on your view on citizen development, what you expect that ever-growing demand for software is, and if citizen development is the best answer to this problem.
We actually reached that same conclusion about a year ago. The research project that led us to that conclusion was about process automation primarily. There's a lot of process automation applications that are needed, and we concluded that automating what I call operational processes was absolutely critical to organizations, our clients, becoming digital businesses. Let me unpack that. So the context here is we are moving from physical analog business structures to digital business structures. Everything in business is bits, and that means everything is software. Everything is realized in software. Any action you want to take, you either need new software or change software or both.
Software eating the world, according to Mark.
Eating the world, exactly. That was a very prescient statement. If we're going, and so as a digital business, that means that all of your actions, all of your conversations and interactions with customers take place through software, either directly, or a human, who's managing the interaction is being informed by that software. Well, we've done a really great job so far of creating experiences, mobile experiences, PWAs, progressive web apps, really interesting web work. Behind the scenes, the processes that are required to give a price, process a warranty, schedule a delivery, schedule a service call, most of that is unautomated. Or it's either that or it's very poorly automated.
Yes.
There's so much work, there's so much automation that's basically done through spreadsheets and email.
And this goes for each size, for every size company, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you're an enterprise or a small scale up or.
No, it doesn't matter. You're exactly right. And the only thing that changes is the scale, is the number of processes you need to automate. Research we did, we concluded there were literally thousands of processes, operational processes, that our average client, and our clients are large enterprises, the average client had thousands of these that were unautomated. So they're unautomated, they can completely destroy a customer experience. Completely,
Yes.
The mobile app experience just falls apart. You got to call somebody, or you got to wait for somebody to call you, or you got to go to a different website. It's horrible. So how are we going to automate?
And to add to that, John, there's a lot of people that have built maybe shadow IT or rogue IT like applications in Excel or somewhere else, that once they disappear or they no longer work for the company, nobody knows how it functions.
Great
right?
point.
So there's no transfer of knowledge about these processes when they're done in not the correct way or not governed by IT.
Absolutely, great point. They are invisible, as you say. They become invisible. They become real blockers to digital business. So how are we going to build all this software? We could say, well, let's go hire a bunch of programmers. Well, good luck with that. There is a shortage of developers. I hear about this every single day from clients. They can't get the people they need. And it's just a real crunch, and there's really not much hope in sight. So we concluded in this research, like I say, about a year ago, the only way out of this was to enlist the citizen developers into the software strategy. Yes. Now this means you're bringing shadow IT into the light. You're explicitly incorporating business people into your software delivery strategy. That means you've got to be very thoughtful about who those people are, who you're actually going to tap to do that work. It means that you're going to have to help them and support them where they need it. And it means you're going to have to govern their work.
Exactly.
So if in fact there are thousands of processes that need to be automated, then we're talking about hundreds of projects per year. I mean, we've got to have a governance framework to be able to manage that magnitude of projects and that amount of work. So it's a big task in front of us, but it is inevitable. We just don't see any other way out of this. And what's at stake is the progression to a digital business. If
Exactly.
you don't solve this, you don't get there, and your competitors may beat you to it, and that's not a place you want to be.
So, do you have any recommendations, John, for organizations that are considering to implement a citizen development framework or strategy? Because as we talked about before we did this webinar, we get these questions all of the time. Could you please elaborate a little bit more about what you think is important when you are considering this?
Well, the first thing is stop considering it and do it. Um, there's this little company in the state of Washington in the US called Microsoft that has a product called Power Apps. And Power Apps in our market tracking has tremendous adoption, and its adoption is likely to grow. And Microsoft is now promoting citizen development to the masses. So think back to SharePoint in 2008 when all of a sudden it was everywhere and you had to change your strategy. That is the moment we're in with citizen development. Pretty soon, if it's not in your world already, it's going to be there. And so you've got to now put a strategy in place. It may be that the only thing you're doing is just trying to catalog who's doing work, on these platforms, and really start to understand who they are and what sort of support they need and what they've done.
Exactly, and what we see is it's a cultural thing as well,
Mm-hmm.
because
Oh,
citizen
absolutely.
development are fairly result-driven people. And when they get no for an answer from IT who's not able or willing to help them out, they start looking for solutions themselves.
That's right.
But if you want to have those people open up about what they're doing and what kind of software they're using and what kind of problems they are trying to tackle, you need to make sure that they don't feel attacked when you talk about this stuff, because maybe they have the fear that you are going to take away all of the stuff that they built themselves in order to do their work properly.
That's right.
So it's a cultural thing as well, that you as a company need to express to everyone, hey, we understand you're doing this by yourself. We understand that you're trying to make your work easier. We want to help you, so we need to know, what are you doing exactly? How are you doing it? Did you think of all the check boxes that we should have to tick once we are considering these types of solutions?
Right.
So I think it's a cultural aspect as well. And I
Oh,
don't think there's one type of citizen developer. You have
right.
this 1% that is very active, very loud, very clear on what they want and what they want to achieve. And you have these people that are in second place, if you'd call it like that, and they are willing to participate, but they don't know how to lead. And then you have the rest that's like, yeah, whatever you guys say, we want to help, but we don't know how.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's actually, I agree with you. It's very much a cultural challenge, and that's why it's for most of our clients, it's difficult. Actually, for all of them, it's difficult. This is a difficult change to make. I just don't think we have any choice. I think I like the way you laid out the various levels of interest and aptitude among citizen developers. But I think you need to add a fourth category, which is has no aptitude, has no interest. There are There are employees, there are people, and by the way, this is not age specific.
Nope.
Uh, this is not old people like me saying, no, 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 I don't want to do that. Some younger people, they just don't have the aptitude for it, and nor they have the interest. So part of, as I said early on, the part of the challenge here is one of the first things to do is start to get a handle on who your people are and who really has aptitude for this work. Um, One of the most effective techniques I've found for beginning that discovery process is to run workshops. Some call them hackathons, where you say where central IT, app dev, usually with the support of a vendor who has a platform, will basically invite business people and say, hey, come to this workshop, bring your problem, bring your business problem. And we will guarantee you that we will either give you a solution or you'll be on your way to a solution by the end of the day or 2 days or whatever it happens to be. That technique is very effective because the people who are really interested will come, and
Exactly.
you'll be able to see who in your organization really is motivated. Plus, you'll be able to watch them work and look at how they think and how they approach problems. And so you'll be able to start to form, an opinion about, their relative level of expertise and skill. This is this is this, and by the way, this can totally change. This can begin to change, put it that way, a negative relationship between central IT and the business. With central IT says, we're going to help you, and we're not just going to say
Yeah.
it, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Um, Boy, does that change? Does that sort of flip things around when there's a tension between, the business and IT?
Yeah, and it motivates them to start working together in a, if you would like to call it, a more agile way, or in a more profound way of getting to the heart of the problem and solve that together.
Right.
And what I really like about you mentioning that as an organization, you should start having these hackathons or get people together, give them a problem,
Mhm.
get them to bring their laptops. That's what we've been trying to do for the last years, getting out there into organizations, invite them to mostly evenings. They bring their laptops, they bring their cases, they first get a quick overview of what the platform is, and then they divide into groups and they enter the platform, and under the guard of a trained Betty Blocks developer, they start building their own application. And
Yeah.
the amount of questions that we get out of that is amazing. You have people that worry about how should we govern and sanction this, or I don't even know how to do stuff in Excel. Where do I need to start? But I don't know how, but I understand that this is going to be the tool of the next generation in business.
Right.
People will be having a no-code and a low-code tooling together with Excel and with their email. And
Right.
so yeah, that's so much fun to do. So everyone who's still listening, and I see no drop-offs in participants, I actually see a lot of questions as well. I forgot to mention, but we'll address them at the end of the webinar. Um,
Well,
so
yeah.
stay tuned. Keep asking your questions in the chat. We'll address them at the end. Don't we, John?
Yes, Victor, there's a couple
Yeah.
more points, a couple of other points I want to make here. There are many, there's been a long history of citizen development, and not all of it has been pretty. But I think we've got an opportunity with the low code platforms now. They're really good products. There's some really good products out there, and we've got a real opportunity to harness these folks like we haven't been able to in the past. However, you do not have to completely open the door to citizen development in order to get started. It's usually a much better idea to get started with a smaller group, or maybe you do your workshop and the people come to that workshop, you work with them. But it's not like you have to say, okay, we're throwing the doors open and anybody can do anything. You
No,
don't have to do that.
no, please don't.
There are a number of ways. We've done research on governance policies. There are a number of governance policies you can put in place. You can restrict the type of app that people do. You can restrict who in the organization or what department in the organization you're going to sanction. And it's okay. As long as you're getting started, it's okay to be fairly restrictive or conservative in the beginning, because you're going to learn. You're going to learn what works and what can go wrong. So that's one thing, is don't be afraid of being conservative in the beginning. Just listen, watch, and be prepared to begin to open the doors to more citizen development activity as we go along. The second thing here is that there's this myth, I think, that professional developers don't know the business, and business people do. A lot of professional developers are really smart about business, really smart. And so one of the things we found is that when you get a pro dev and a citizen dev together, actually magic can happen. A pro dev, for example, might look at a business process that is used at the time, and find inefficiencies in that process that the business person doesn't yet recognize.
No, because they ask different types of questions.
Different questions, and they bring an engineering kind of mindset to the exercise. So there's, obviously you got to have developers that are comfortable talking to business people and taking feedback, and not all developers, are good communicators and comfortable in that role. But really, I've seen real magic happen where the combination of the two points of view and the two levels of expertise can result in really, really powerful automation, in software.
Yeah, and that's what I think is very interesting to see, is how both the business and IT work together on these subjects that before they weren't even thinking about cooperating on.